During my live workshop, somebody asked me, what if they go all out to succeed and become a target for telling too much truth? I said, fam, you worried about the system coming after you and you ain't even left the driveway yet? I was like, dog, you think you measuring risk, but in truth, you mastering avoidance. It's called preemptive objection. You're just catastrophizing. That's your coping mechanism, pretending to be insight. And that's what's keeping you on the sidelines asking for selfies instead of being the headliner of your own life. All these negative what ifs, they don't make you important. It make you impotent bars. Now, let's expose this quiet trick your mind pulls to make you feel better about living beneath your potential. The trick that's got grown men with talent, vision, and receipts sitting in the same dark apartment, driving the same car, telling the same stories with nothing to show for what they know. I'm going to show you why you've been mistaking it for wisdom and how to become the version of yourself that is an actual threat to the status quo. Type bars in the comments if you're ready for that. Now, what if I told you the reason you don't go after the things you say you want had nothing to do with discipline or willpower and everything to do with emotional patterns running in the background, quietly messing with your decision making and follow through? Emotional intelligence is a performance factor most of us are taught to ignore. Me and Romani Malco will be hosting a live 90-minute workshop extravaganza where we help you confront the emotional blind spots keeping you stuck so those emotional blind spots never cripple your potential again. You want to work with some real ones? The link is in the description. Talented, smart brothers be notorious for building airtight cases for why they can't move forward, for presenting disastrous scenarios to justify their fear, and confusing elaborate worst-case scenarios with intelligent assessment. And the scary part is, they sound right. That's the trick. The case they build be technically correct. The risks they point out be real risks. The people they worried about, well, them people do exist, but correct ain't the same as useful. Type bars in the comments if you get that. A risk you spend 3 years anticipating from the couch is really just a dated excuse. You ain't assessing the situation, you finessing the situation. Bars. See, what's really happening is your brain got into a habit, and the habit is this. Anytime life puts some uncertainty in front of you, anytime there's a move to make where you don't already know the outcome, your mind starts generating disaster footage. Instant, unprompted, vivid like AI or some shit. You can see the embarrassment. Feel people judging your failure. Hear the voice of whoever you imagine laughing at you. Your whole nervous system lean into that footage like it's real. And because it feel real, your body react like it is. So you don't make the call. You don't send the pitch. You don't shoot your shot. You don't initiate the conversation. You don't show up. And then to make yourself feel better about not moving, you subconsciously write a little internal report explaining why not moving was actually the smart thing to do. What if I succeeded and then I became a target? That's called catastrophizing, which involves science and psychology. Translation is something your brain do when it feels overwhelmed or extremely stressed. And a lot of times, you're stressed out by shit that ain't even probable. You out here wearing body armor to a thought. Type bars in the comments if I'm calling you out. If you ain't hit the like button, dog, I'm stalling you out. I'm trying to elevate your minds. Y'all out here falling for clout. Stop idolizing ninjas. Get them balls out your mouth. Bars! Let me show you 3 ways this intelligent catastrophizing show up. And you'll probably recognize yourself in at least one of them. Number 1, opportunities show up and you talk yourself out of it. Somebody hit you up about a job, a gig, a partnership, a project, even a casual date. Something that lined up with what you've been saying you want. And before you could even sit with the opportunity, your mind already drafting the obituary. What if I take this job and I can't do it? What if they find out I ain't as qualified as I think? What if I leave my current gig and this one don't work out and I'm back on my mama couch at 38? What if I start this business and it fail and my girl leave me for a sugar daddy? Every last one of them questions is reasonable concern. Every one of them deserves some thought. But you don't just think about them. You marinating them. You let them questions run laps in your head for 2 weeks until they seem real. And the opportunity vanished like your savings. Or it goes to somebody who 9 times out of 10 wasn't more qualified than you, just less haunted. The opportunity didn't escape you. Your reality did. Type bars in the comments if you get that. Number 2, the conversation you've been needing to have. This one hit different. You got somebody in your life you need to speak to directly. Maybe it's your pops. Maybe it's your mama. Maybe it's a woman you've been with for 6 years who you now resent in your core. Maybe it's your business partner who been moving funny. Maybe it's a sibling who went behind your back and popped your ex's booty cherry. You know the conversation need to happen. You know life won't move forward until it does. But every time you think about initiating it, your mind run the tape. What if they piss me off? What if they cuss me out? What if this break up the family? What if she take the kids? What if my pops have a heart attack because of what I say? What if I find out some shit I didn't want to know? So you don't have the conversation for 5 years, 10 years, hell, 20. You carry that weight into every other part of your life. Your back hurting, you think it's the bed. Your chest tight, you think it's pollen. Talking about you can't sleep. Well, you sure seem to be sleeping on your goals and aspirations. Simple example of how made-up stories become more of a priority than your life. Sometimes the things you fail to mention just manifest as physical tension. Bars. Now would be a good time to hit the like button if you like something. And if you motivated as hell, hit that notification bell. But if you really want to see this channel grow, the smartest thing, the best thing you can do is share this with your folks. Number 3, the version of yourself you've been hiding. This the deepest one. Because this one ain't about a job or a conversation. This one about who you actually is. Somewhere inside is the man you supposed to be. You know who he is. He been tapping on your shoulder since he was 19. He the one who wanna write. He the one who got the idea nobody else got. He the one who could teach. He the one who could lead. But every time he try to come out, your mind run the worst case scenario on him. Specifically, what if I put myself out there and nobody care? What if I make the thing and it ain't good enough? What if my success make my family resentful? What if the system come after me for telling too much truth? You worried about the system and you can't scrape up a few quarters to wash your work uniform. You worried about spitting too much truth to who? Collection services? You worried about being targeted for shedding too much light when you can't even keep the lights on. Oh, the system will be coming after your ass if you don't get caught up on your restitution fees. How about you focus on getting your business's first $2,000 a month? How about you focus on getting your first 100 subscribers or your first 20 prospects? The truth is, you terrified of unpredictable outcomes. The real fear is the risk of venturing into the unknown. The idea of not being in control is terrifying you. And that's why your brain becomes a propaganda machine. You ain't scared of being a target. You scared of the unfamiliar. You are terrified by the idea of a different future. Terrified at the thought of change and new challenges. Yet you have the audacity to say you want a new life. 57 years old, speaking from personal experience, discovery requires venturing into the unknown. But if you somebody who grew up in a lot of chaos and dysfunction or experienced a lot of injustice, if you grew up around extremely judgmental people who were critical, quick to persecute folks for making mistakes or would ridicule folks for being different, venturing into the unknown might feel like a switchblade circumcision. The thought of placing yourself in environments and around people you don't recognize, can't control, can't manipulate, can't predict, it stresses you out. Speaking from personal experience, nothing has robbed me of more joy than my need to control. And here's where it gets complicated. Some of this is your brain doing shit automatically at the snap of a finger. That's the biology of it. This is a mechanism your nervous system built to protect you. And when it gets stressed, it defaults to freeze. That freeze happened in milliseconds. Bow. It's called the state of helplessness. You don't get to think about that part. That's the body reacting to stress. Shit happen quick too, like Amish sex. But here's the crazy part. A lot of times that stress is triggered by a fear you've arbitrarily associated with the task, the challenge, the opportunity. And you can't talk yourself out of it in the moment because it ain't a thought, it's a reflex. But most of what keeps you stuck ain't the biology, it's the biography part. Biology kicks in within milliseconds, but the biography is what plagues you and makes you sound full of shit. Type bars in the comments if you're getting what I'm spitting. Hit the like button if you like something. And if you're motivated as hell, hit that notification bell. So let's talk about the biography. The biography is the story that you've been telling yourself to justify the fact that you ain't done nothing yet. The meaning you attach to it, the excuses you build around it, the grandiose worst case scenario and inflated self-importance. That's the identity you constructed to make peace with your lack of follow through. That part is biography. Biography is you at 42 still explaining why you ain't made the move you were supposed to make at 28. And a lot of that biography is supported by the community. In the same way, niggas started co-signing old dude's concerns about becoming a target if he dares to be successful. This is America. And I'd rather be a successful target than a broke one every day. Type bars in the comments if you feel my pain. I'm too deep for the pirates, ain't no still in my lane. While these bozos gatekeep, I'm revealing the game. Can you name one rapper that was healed from a chain? Bars! Your ability to craft these worst case scenarios is pretty genius, but it's also a coping mechanism that keeps you stuck in the same life. If it mainly creates panic, avoidance, or paralysis, it is probably functioning as a maladaptive behavior pattern. Translation: your worrying ain't helping you, it's handling you. Now the research on this is clear. Catastrophizing is classified as a cognitive distortion. That's a psychology term for when your mind is feeding you a bent version of reality and selling it to you as the truth. And it gets classified as maladaptive when it stops being a one-time risk assessment and starts functioning like a coping strategy that gives you brief relief or some sense of control. Listen to that again. A sense of control. You ain't predicting disaster, you're medicating with it. That's the trick. When you sit there running worst case scenarios, your brain actually feel better for a minute. Feel like you being smart. Feel like your lack of follow through is reasonable or responsible or self-preserving, but in reality, you just mastering your 10,000 hours of failure. Here's where it get deeper than whale shit. The reason your worst case scenarios feel so convincing to you is that you're doing something the researchers got 3 different names for. And every one of them is worth knowing. One is called quoting out of context. That's when you take a statement or fact and you strip it of its surroundings so the meaning changes. Like you saw one person fail at the exact thing you want to do and you referencing their outcome like it's the golden rule. Number 2 is called cherry picking. That's when you select only the facts that support your argument and leave out the rest. Like you naming every cousin who went broke trying to start a business but conveniently forgetting all the others who made the shit work. And 3 is called decontextualized. That's when you strip facts of their surrounding context so they seem to prove something they really don't. Like you looking at the one time you got rejected from a job in 2019 and it hurt your fragile ego. Now you treating that one rejection like it's the whole truth about who you is and what you capable of 10 years later. In every language, they also call this misleading with facts or frame control. And that's what's really happening in your head when you building those airtight worst case scenarios. You ain't lying. You working with real references. You just leaving out every piece of evidence that would contradict the story you committed to. And to all the husbands and wives out there that do this in your arguments, that's why you don't feel wanted or desired by your partner. They might not be keeping the score, but the body and the mind do though. If you are not allowing new information to inspire new behavior, please know that's what's keeping you exactly where you is. Congratulations. Do you see how I pinpoint like an arrow and break it down to the marrow? I'm giving you a glimpse into the minds of the pharaohs. Please hit that like button and notify the algos. My whole purpose in life is helping folks get unstuck and showing you how to trust your own process enough to follow through on the things you say you want out of life. Me and Romani Malco host a live 90-minute workshop where we help you identify the emotional blind spots to sabotage your follow-through and cripple your potential. And we don't let you leave the workshop until you know exactly what you need to do to stop whining and start winning. You want to work with some real ones, family. The link is in the description. How can you tell if your thinking is actually helping you or hurting you? Family, you just got to try this simple test. Ask yourself this: is this thought helping me act wisely, or is it just increasing fear? If it mainly creates panic, avoidance, and paralysis, it's probably functioning as a maladaptive behavior pattern. Translation: if the thought make you move, it's useful. If the thought make you freeze, it's a drug. It's a pacifier. And most of y'all been on this drug so long, you think the high is your heaven. Nah, family, that's your handcuffs. So here's what happens when you add vocabulary to what your mind been doing to protect you from fear. Fake evidence appearing real, because sometimes these thoughts come out of nowhere like a queef in the dark. Name it. Once you can name it, add that vocabulary to it. Catastrophizing, decontextualization, framing out of context. When it show up and you can clock the cherry picking and the frame control in real time, it don't control you no more. That's not because you got some new discipline. It's not because you found the magic formula. Because you can now distinguish between your biology and your biography and have grace for how your mind and body perform under stress. You can spot the biological shutdown, but you can also choose to craft a different story around it, one that is honest and forward moving. If you really take heed to just this message, your ego don't get to eat like it did before, because now you stop feeding it excuses. Every worst case scenario you rehearsed was a meal for that part of you that didn't want to grow. You starved that part, and the real you finally got room to show up. An ego on a diet is the first sign of a man about to change his life. Type bars in the comments if you get that. Now let me tell you what moving, making progress actually look like. And I ain't talking about the business stuff. That's the easy part. Moving look like you getting sober. Not because somebody told you to, because you realized you was using them substances to silence the same disaster footage we've been talking about. Moving look like you being there for your kids. Not performative pop in where you buy them some sneakers and call it parenting, post some shit on Facebook, a little collage. No, real parenting. The real thing, where you present, where you listening, where they get to see their pops, own his mistakes, and apologize for him like a real man with no excuses. Moving look like you learning how to make love to your woman. Not just fuck her. Make love to her, which require you to be in the moment and be in your body and not 7 years deep in past fears and resentment. Moving look like you forgiving your mama for what she couldn't give you, not because she deserved it, because you the one carrying the weight for her limitations and it's breaking your back. Moving look like you forgiving your pops for not being there, or for being there in the wrong way, or for being there in a way that made that hurt worse than his absence. Moving look like you sitting down with the brother you ain't spoke to in 8 years and saying what you should have said then. The revolution you've been waiting to lead, it's a conversation with your people. Type bars in the comments if you get that. And once you handle that, once you get right with the people and the pattern that's been running you, that's when you become somebody the system might actually notice. Because now you a man with integrity. Now you a man whose word means something. Now you a man who can't be bought, can't be baited, and can't be broken with a rumor. That's the version of you the system would actually have to reckon with. But you ain't there yet. Some of y'all ain't even close. And the reason you ain't close is because you've been playing general in a war you ain't enlisted in, while the actual battle for your life happening in your living room, in your relationships, in your own damn skin. You've been defending yourself in a war that ain't yours while steady losing ground to your internal battles. So add the vocabulary. catch the thought, starve the ego, and get to work on the real shit. Your kids need it. You need it. Your woman need it. Your people need it. And somewhere underneath all them worst case scenarios, it's a version of you that's been waiting his whole life to make some shit happen. You ain't broken. You ain't fundamentally flawed. You just misunderstood by you. And that's why this next video right here is so important. Click it because it's about to go quick.